Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Five Hole presented by the Rider Sports Network. Today, we're got a little bit of the Olympics talk to kind of go on about with the USA men's winning the gold medal, and then we got some more trade deadline talk. Obviously, with the with the trade block ending today at noon. There's going to be obviously teams that are going to be looking to probably make trades and everything over the next weeks since the trade deadline comes up next Friday. So we got kind of a little bit to talk about and more. So let's jump right into it. Aaron, what did I know we kind of talked about it a little bit before the show started today, but what did you think of the gold medal game for the men's?
So I thought it was a good game in general. That second period though, really scared me just because Canada was just making actually shooting more at Helly than we were at Bennington. So that scared me a little bit because somehow, some way, Canada was going to just squeak one in, put it right in that five hole, and so I was a little nervous about that, but that 5-on-3 that we stopped and on their power play, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And I got to give my hats to JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck because I was a little uneasy with them being on this roster. I want like a Jason Robertson. I want just scoring. And the fact that they were specifically there to stop penalty kills, do face-offs, and win them, I was like, okay, Mike Sullivan knows what he's talking about. I'm just a guy here talking in the five hole. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, I thought it was a great game. Overtime scared me because I had that 2010 vision. And I was like, oh, no, it's going to be McDavid instead of Crosby winning it. But,
yeah.
Hughes.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty impressive yet stressful game to watch, especially if you're a USA fan. Because they came out, the first period came out to be 8-8 in shots for both teams, and after that, it just went on a landslide towards the Canada, where I think on the second period, I think it was like 19 shots to USA's, I think 9 or 10.
Yeah, it was like, I thought it was like
it was something like that. They had a lot more than us. I know that for sure. But yeah, towards the end of the game, whenever they had that 5-on-3, I thought for sure that was going to be kind of the tipping point for Canada in order to go ahead of the USA's team. Because I mean, throughout this whole Olympic tournament for hockey, they had, I think it was close to like a 43% on the power play, and because they got a lot of power play goals, and I think what game was it? The against Czechia.
Yeah.
Czechia. That was one of the big reasons why they were able to come back and win that game, was because of their power play. But I mean, overall, I thought that was a big turning point, or a momentum changer for the USA going into that third period into overtime.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned when Canada was on the power play, just because we have stopped every power play opportunity in this Olympics. So that one I was like, all right, cool. But like that, just a 5-on-3, because they can come at us with all that firepower and superstars they have. So I was like, damn, this 5-on-3 is definitely gonna hurt us. And the momentum, like that Matt Boldy goal to start off the first period in the Olympics, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Now we're going to start chipping at Bennington, because I keep putting it in our VSN five-hole group chat. I'm like, does Bennington look a little off? Like, is he cracking? And you guys kept saying, no, he'll be fine. So I thought we were just going to unleash his floodgates, but that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty impressive goal by Matt Boldy, with flipping the puck up and then hitting it in the midair, which, I mean, okay, for a lot of hockey players and everything, that probably isn't much, but I mean, for somebody that doesn't actually play hockey, to see the player doing that, that's got to be pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's not easy doing that. So don't let anybody say that it's easy doing that. It's not easy to do that, especially in that big of a stage.
Yeah. Um, Coming off of the Olympics, though, uh, with the Hughes brothers having so much of an impact and not so much for, I mean, I take that back. With the Kachuk brothers, almost with having a lot of points, but not nearly as much of a star role, I guess, of what they've kind of had with previous years with like the Four Nations and recent playoff years. Do you think this is something that's going to prolong like the legacy for like the Hughes brothers moving forward, I guess, with this?
I would say so, just because we didn't see Quinn Hughes last year in the Four Nations. So it just looked like he turned up a notch in this Olympics. He had the most time on ice, the game winning goal against Sweden in the quarterfinals in overtime. And I actually was a little concerned with Jack Hughes. I felt like he wasn't playing that great of an Olympics. I think like the first two games. And I was like, all right. And then he started to rack up a few assists, and then the goals just started coming. So I was like, all right, like this is Jack Hughes that we were missing in Four Nations, because he also didn't show up, even though he was on the roster. Yeah. He didn't show up at all. And I think with the Hughes brothers and just the way that they played, and I actually thought Quinn Hughes outplayed Cale Makar. And that's something like you don't really want to say just because of how good Cale Makar is in the NHL. But in this Olympics, I think Quinn Hughes did a lot better than Cale Makar. I don't care if I get slack, because it just seemed like the Hughes brothers were on a trajectory that the Chuck brothers couldn't really match. Like Matthew didn't have any goals. He had like 6 assists. He did what he needed to do, but he wasn't as vocal because they can't fight in the Olympics. Same thing with Brady Tkachuk. Like he had 4. I think did he have 4 goals or 3 goals? I think he had 4. Yeah, I think he had 4. I think he had 3 assists. Yeah, I think I'm mixing them up. And also, they couldn't fight. So it's like that's what they see in the Tkachuk brothers is just the fighting. Whereas you see with the Hughes brothers, like that elusiveness, goal scoring, it's like that.
Those people that are those players that are able to show up in the big moments and make something happen. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so how do you feel about Connor McDavid? He gets the MVP of the Olympics. We saw it before. Yeah, we saw it before in the Stanley Cup 2 years ago. He has the most points in the Olympics, I think with like 11 or 12. Instead of Matthew Tkachuk saying to Leon Draisaitl when they played Germany, like, shouldn't they have said to Connor McDavid, how does it feel to be the bridesmaid, not the bride?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you the same question, because it seems like that's a growing trend here lately for Connor McDavid, where he wins an MVP for a trophy that he doesn't actually get to be a part of. Like he didn't win the Stanley Cup 2 years ago whenever he got made into the MVP, and then this year he didn't win. He won silver in the Olympics and gets MVP. That's, I mean, especially with all the players that he has playing around him. And I know he in Edmonton that year, they were a really good team, and it was mostly just him and Draisaitl. I felt like doing a lot of the contributing. I felt like for that team that year. But I mean, in this instance, it's got to be a little bit of a slap on the face, or I don't know much of that, but I feel like it's got to be it's got to be a gut-wrenching feeling that like you're one of the best players on the ice for both of those instances, and you don't win the big trophy.
Yeah, and I don't want anybody to allude or think that Connor McDavid is going to go down as like the best player not to win anything. Something's going to happen where he will win something, but don't get it wrong. He's still the best player in the world, just because of, like, you just saw in the Olympics, like how fast he was. He was literally Edmonton, Connor McDavid, just assist wise, goal wise. Like even though Sidney Crosby got hurt and you saw with the medal, he had the C on his chest, he was definitely acting like the captain. And I think in that, I believe it was the Czechia game, I guarantee he used his game 7 speech, I think it was, or game 6 speech that you saw on the Amazon Prime show for hockey. I guarantee he said that to these guys to lock to lock in, and they did. So yeah, it sucked for Connor McDavid, but like it is what it is. We got the gold now. It's been 46 years.
Yep. And I know we talked about this briefly before we came on today. Do you think with the Sidney Crosby injury in the game against Czechia, do you think having him against Finland in the semifinal wouldn't really have made a difference? But do you think having him in a gold medal game like what we had today would have made any kind of difference for Canada going into this game if they would have won or lost?
I think it has an impact. It definitely has an impact. He is a gold winner in the Olympics. He did 2010, which that overtime in this one felt like 2010 Olympics. So I got real nervous. So yeah, his impact is brutal, but at the same time, everyone was raving about how great Canada's roster was. And even their first line, like Macklin Celebrini, his first Olympics, 5 goals, 5 assists, like absolutely amazing for a 19-year-old. Nate McKinnon, Connor McDavid, that's your first line. All right. The only
that line alone in the first 2 games for them had 18 points.
Exactly. So, like, yes, you have that leadership, but you also have captains of other teams on this team. So, yes, Sidney Crosby does have an impact, but not in this game. This was all John Cooper, Team Canada. The only positive I'll say is that they were able to take Nick Suzuki off the winger and become the 3C. So, literally, you got rid of a 38-year-old Sidney Crosby for a younger captain of the Montreal Canadiens, Nick Suzuki, as your 3C. So,
one question I did just think about with the way that I don't know what, I can't remember what his name is, the GM for Minnesota that put together this whole team for the U.S. Do you think with how he structured everything with the USA team, do you think he's going to take that back now and try to restructure some things for the Minnesota Wild going forward? Obviously, he's already brought in Quinn Hughes, but do you think that's something more that he's going to try to do that change things up to the betterment of his team to make them more of a juggernaut going forward in the Central?
I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, like right now, Minnesota has a pretty good team. I know we talked about it on our last episode. Go check that out. Is with Wallstat being traded because for some reason they like Gustafsson a lot more than him, and they're trying to get a value. So, like, if you can, sure, but you do need goaltending in the playoffs. We've seen it a million times. So, if it looks good, just don't fix it. If you really want to play Frankenstein, just take all these different pieces, try to put them together. I mean, go for it. But I would just keep it as is in Minnesota.
Yeah. One last question before we kind of move on to the all the trade deadline stuff and everything. But with which of the fan bases for the NHL do you think should be more hyped with how everything went for the Olympics? Do you think like fan bases from the Devils, Jets, Sharks, obviously they're all putting up multiple points, especially for players like Celebrini who put up as many points as he did in his second year of the NHL. What was your thoughts on that?
I think no one pulled a John Tavares in the Olympics, so those fan bases should be ecstatic, like a Macklin Celebrini. You could even say a Quinn Hughes is because of his value. Jack Hughes lost a tooth, but he's rich, so he could easily get it fixed. So I'm not worried about that. It's more or less there's one franchise, and because we were already kind of discussing it, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're already like a fringe team. So with Sidney Crosby hurt like this, we don't know how long it is because it is his knee, and he was trying everything to get back on the Olympic roster. But which direction are they going to go? Are they going to go up because Evgeny Malkin, Russian, couldn't play in the Olympics, which I think is BS, but that's another topic for another day. Right. He could get really, pissed off that Crosby's hurt. They're in a pretty decent race to go to the playoffs. So he might start scorching the earth in rinks and just go crazy with this young Pittsburgh team. it could go like that, or with Crosby gone and the way that he plays for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Evgeny Malkin could be so-so and try to find a way to get traded off the team, eventually losing points, getting out of the playoffs, this and that. So that's the one franchise I'm curious. I mean, as a Raiders fan, my season's over, so I'm more disappointed that I can't watch more Olympics because I have to go back to the Rangers for this season.
Trust me, man, that's how I'm feeling here in St. Louis. I feel like our season's pretty much going down with where we're at currently in the standings. I mean, I don't think we're going to have a situation like what we had last year with coming back from the Four Nations and having the best record in the NHL or anything like that. I just from the way how things have been going this season. But I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting because that was one thing too that I was thinking about, like, is especially with how old Evgeny Malkin is as well. Do you think that's something that after this contract is up, do you think he's going to be looking to be retiring?
I don't know. I feel like he still has some like gas left in the tank. I feel like he's going to go out like Ovechkin and just wait till he's like 38, 39. I don't even know what age he is. I think he's probably in his mid 30s. I feel like he's like 34 or something. I feel like I've seen him my entire life watching hockey. So I think it'll be like that.
Since I've been really paying attention to hockey, it felt like he's always been in the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think he's going to retire just yet. I think he probably wants one more ring, and he already said that Pittsburgh's not going to re-sign him. So he might just try to find a contender to hitch his wagon to, and maybe Minnesota. Maybe they could use him to put him on that second line, because we were hearing things last year that before Brad Marchand got traded, that the Florida Panthers were looking at Evgeny Malkin. So maybe that's that veteran leadership that the Wild need.
Maybe. Before we move on to trade deadline stuff, is there anything more that you wanted to kind of touch on with the Olympics before we move on?
Yeah, I think just in general, like this entire Olympics, I thought was really great. Kudos for Italy, which has nobody, I think, in the NHL. They actually scored a goal. I didn't think they were going to score a goal in this Olympics. So shout out that. And then just teams like Slovakia, Czechia, even Switzerland, I feel like these teams are going to get a lot better. So I would definitely watch out for them. Like, I thought they all played like really well in the Olympics. It's just who they played, whether it was Canada, the US, the Finnish. So I just felt like this was really good having the NHL players back.
Yeah, that was one thing that I felt like made a big difference. Plus two, I mean, you had, which, I mean, all of us, when we made our predictions on different things like this, I don't think any of us had the Slovaks going as far into this tournament as what they did, to be making it to the bronze medal game, playing against Finland. I did not think they were going to make it that far at all.
Yeah, and I mean, Slafkovsky, I mean, they picked him number 1 overall for Montreal. Dude went off in the Olympics. So, like, he's probably pissed off that he didn't get the bronze, and now he's going to go back to Montreal. I think that's going to be really good for that franchise. But, yeah, I didn't expect the Slovaks at all to do what they did.
Plus, Dalibor Dvorsky being the first rookie to make it. The first rookie outside of Alexander Ovechkin and like 2 or 3 other big names to make it to 6 points in a Olympics. So I mean that's adds tremendous value to Dalibor Dvorsky as well. I feel like, with how well he played for Slovakia,
absolutely,
and for St. Louis. I mean, seeing a kid like that playing as good as that's got to be that's got to give you a little bit of just thinking like we have something good here for the future, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all right, moving on to trade deadline talks. With everything reopening noon today, a lot of people thought the floodgates were just going to open with trades, which I didn't think it was going to be like that. I figured that GMs were probably talking over the Olympic break and everything, but obviously with only having, what is it, maybe a week and a half to kind of go through and get ready for the trade deadline to come about, what are obviously we've seen St. Louis players being some big topics of trade rumors between Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, Jordan Binnington, Justin Falk. Obviously, teams are probably going to be giving Doug Armstrong and Alexander Steen calls about these players. But what impact do you feel like from, I guess, having the break and it being open now is going to just see from teams coming over this upcoming week and a half?
I think now they're going to start reassessing like the position they're in, where they can go, because I saw a thing the other day, like Alex Tuck said he's focusing on the Buffalo Sabres. So like a team like that, they've been really hot. Like, do you break them up? Like, do you send away Rasmus Dahlin, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck? Like, those are your three best assets on this team. Like, do you just go, you know what? I really feel like if we go to the playoffs, we're not going to make it, and have the fans, mad at you? Or do you just go, you know what? Let's just ride the ride. If we could pick up another piece, I don't know what it could be, and just go out there and see if we can make it, then I would look at that. You have the King situation. Kevin Fiala got hurt in the Olympics, and they traded for Artemi Panarin. So it's like, okay, cool, we have Panarin now. So it's like, do we go out and get another winger? Yeah, like, do we get another winger? Because it's like,
Kuzmenko. With that though, what kind of trade stock do you think that the Kings have? Because I feel like they don't really have a whole lot of prospects or anything to really throw forward to kind of build a good. Obviously, they already have a really good team, but losing a guy like Kevin Fiala, that's going to be huge for them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't know what you do like that. I think they're in the worst position, which I'm surprised they haven't made any trades, or I hope they've been on the phone 24/7.
You would think they would have to be.
So, but yeah, I mean, the best bet I could think of, and I wouldn't really want to, would try to get some value for Fogle or Kuzmenko, even though you traded for Kuzmenko last year. Like, I would try to do something, because Panarin loved the guy, but we've seen the last few playoff series, he starts to disappear a little bit, and he's not getting any younger.
Exactly. I know with obviously a lot of the names that have been thrown around, as much as I have, Vincent Trocheck has been thrown around on trade rumors. I just heard over this last week that Gavrikov was saying that he wasn't happy in the Rangers organization. And then obviously you got players like I listed off for St. Louis. Do you think those are trades or acquisitions that other teams try to go for now, or do you feel like with the level of players, I guess, that are on this trade deadline rumor board, do you feel like those are things that happen now, or do you think a lot of them happen over the offseason?
So I just thought about it because I was thinking about the Minnesota Wild, and Vincent Trocheck is a nice contract. We were just discussing it, like what the GM will do. Why not go? Maybe this will now transition him to Minnesota. Maybe if they go for a trade, he'll be like, yes, you know what? I'm going to go there because I play with Matt Boldy, Quinn Hughes, Brock Faber. Like, I've played with these guys from Minnesota, and I guarantee they were probably doing a little bit of tampering to bring him over. He's great on penalty kill. We just saw in the Olympics. He's great with faceoffs, which we've known since he was in Carolina, which is why the Rangers grabbed him a few years ago to sign. So I could see Minnesota trying to do something like that for Vincent Trocheck. Watch Vegas go after someone in St. Louis. I feel it's going to be like a Justin Falk or something. So, because Vegas is always grabbing people. So I'll look for Justin Falk on the Blues end.
One thing I did hear over this past week about Justin Falk that I was was kind of thinking about was, I know you brought up the Buffalo Sabres and how they were like, do we trade things up or anything like that? But one thing I did hear was that they were potentially looking for, or was it Justin? No, I think it was Jordan Kyrou. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Jordan Kyrou to bring in another winger or something of that sort, and then to trade off like one of their left-handed defensemen, either that being Owen Power or Bowen Byram or one of those types of players. Obviously, with either looking at it that way or bringing in a guy like Justin Falk who's had that experience, that veteran presence, whereas a lot of the defensemen on the team for Buffalo haven't really had that experience aside from maybe Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah, first off, what value does Jordan Kyrou have? Because I've heard you guys talk about Jordan Kyrou for like 3 years, and I'm like, is he really that good? Like, is someone really gonna pick him up? But
I mean, he has been the leading scorer for the Blues over the last 2-3 ish years with 30 plus ish goals. So I mean, he he has gotten better with his defensive play over the last year and a half under Jim Montgomery. So I feel like that has kind of added a little bit more value to Jordan Kyrou.
All right, because like I just feel like he's like, you guys talk about him like he's this like top 5 player in the NHL, which is understandable. It's your squad, but it's just like, how much value does it really have? But if what you're saying is true, then okay. And he's a winger too, so that could help. Mm-hmm. I would say the Kings, but they have too much on for their right wingers, so maybe not. But Byram. What about Dallas? They're hurting. They have a few injuries. They need a defenseman. Byram could be that guy. I mean, we've seen the Dallas GM do whatever it takes to get as far as he can in the playoffs. Western Conference Finals twice in the last 2 years.
And with how, and I haven't looked at the standings, which I know that they've been relatively the same since everything's pretty much started with the Olympics. But I mean, seeing where things are at for, I mean, they're still second in the West, or no, sorry, third in the West. Minnesota took them over, which we figured was going to happen. But I mean, if you're wanting to stay, I mean, you have a pretty sizable gap between you and the Mammoth. So I mean, I feel like they have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs for Dallas. It's going to be something that if they want to add to their presence a little bit, I feel like they would make a move. But at the same time, it's like you've been playing as good as you have over the last 10 games. They're 7-3-0. Do you go and change things with adding more players, or do you leave things the way they are?
I mean, if I'm Dallas, I do whatever it takes. I don't care if I'm 7-3 the last 10. Like they want to win a cup so bad. They have all these pieces. Like Oettinger is a really great goalie. You know, they still have Miro Heiskanen, who was hurt last year. So I feel like with Dallas, the way that they've made these trades, like no one would have thought they would have gotten Mikko Rantanen last year to make this playoff push. Made it. They got really deep in the playoffs. Like with the squad they have, in all honesty, I think they would be a second round exit. In all honesty, maybe even first, depending on the matchup, because it doesn't go 1 through 8 anymore. So I think with like a Byram to help you on that defense, you still have like who you have. I think they need to take that plunge if they want to win another cup.
Yeah, that's a fair question. That's a fair thing to bring up. But I know we were talking about Kyrou a little bit earlier, but with, I guess, the contract that he has signed over, or I guess what was that, 2 years ago that he ended up signing that big contract? Do you think that's going to, if the Blues end up trying to sign him before the trade deadline or try to trade him before the deadline, do you think his contract is going to be a little bit more of a hindrance of that with him having an 8-year contract for $8 million AAV?
So he's got an 8 AAV for 8. So he signed for 8 years. It's only, Trocheck has a 7.5 and people want him. So, if a team really wants Jordan Kyrou, it's only $8 million. That's pretty good.
With the salary cap going up over the next, we're at what? We're at 97 or we're at 103 right now?
I think it's the 97. I think it's going to go to 103 or something like that next year.
Yeah, so 103 next year and then the 114 next year. At that point, $8 million, you're going to look at it like some of the GMs are looking at like $6.5 million contracts or $6.5 million AAV now. It's like that's a bargain to almost have right now with how some of these players are playing really well a few years ago, and we're only able to afford that amount of money, which now it's like you're looking at those contracts now and it's like that's a freaking steal. But yeah. $8 million in a couple of years could be looking like it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm a contender and you need a winger, I have no problem try to trade for Kyrou if he's only making $8 million a year. So
yeah. With everything coming up over these next 2 weeks, do you think with as many sellers as there are right now within the West, you have Vancouver, Calgary, possibly Winnipeg? I don't know, depending on with how everything coming back from the Olympics and how Hellebuyck has played in the Olympics. There could be a little bit of a change. Do you think that something changes with Winnipeg after everything with this, or do you think that stays kind of the same within Winnipeg and how they've been playing?
They probably don't have that much cap flexibility, and who wants to go up and play in Winnipeg? I don't know anyone's like, yeah, Winnipeg's always been my destination unless you're Jonathan Toews. But yeah, I think they're going to have to stay the course just because, I didn't realize losing Nikolaj Ehlers was that big of a deal. And I thought like shifting everyone up a line was going to help and making, because everyone's been there. They know what they're doing. And the fact that that didn't work out, as we can see right now, I think they're going to have to stay put and just kind of wait for free agency. But again, I do think Nazem Kadri would be great for Montreal. And I think because you can see what they have, I think he'll be like, yeah, I will go play for them instead of staying in Calgary, because he's always played on Canadian teams. So it's like, why not? And I do think for Montreal, someone, whether it's a seller, whether it's a fringe contender, I think they're going to try to trade either Montembeault or Cam Fowler.
I can see it.
Yeah, it's almost like a Minnesota, but like a reverse.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen them so many times like running the mill on the trade rumor page on Twitter about how they're looking for different players and everything. And Montreal has been one of the ones that I've been seeing the most, that I've been looking at all sorts of different players. Whether or not it's true or not, I have no idea. But with where they're at in the standings, I could definitely see them going on a trade spree and just trying to bring in more talent than what they currently have. Because their goaltending, it could definitely use a little bit of a a jolt, because Montembeault and Fowler have been kind of, but still they're making it happen for that team. And I feel like that's something that they've been needing, is more goaltending than what they have. And who knows, maybe they'll go after guy like Jordan Bennington or something like that. But who's to say?
Yeah, and what's great about Cam Fowler is he's literally a rookie. He was on that Boston College team that went to the Frozen Four last year with Gabe Perreault and all them and Ryan Leonard. So it's like you have him fresh off a rookie deal. You have 2 more years to control him because he's already playing in the NHL. So it's like that's perfect scenario for anyone that has like a goaltender, but not like top 5 goaltenders. But let me ask you this though, with trade deadline, what does Washington do? Because they were one of the best teams last year. And I really think this is Ovechkin's last year. I really think this is it for him. He's not going to resign. They were one of the best teams last year. Now they're like fringe. What should they do?
I would almost think they should probably go after somebody on trade, either the trade deadline or free agency. I feel like not free agency, but at the draft, I feel like they should probably go after somebody, because I mean, once Ovechkin goes, you're not going to have that elite goal scorer anymore. I mean, you have that, especially with the whole aspect of you have an aging core. You have guys like Tom Wilson. You have John Carlson. I mean, there's probably a bunch of other names on that list of players that they have that are all in like they're probably low to mid 30s that are probably going to be looking to probably be. I mean, I don't know if they'll be calling it quits in the next couple of years or anything like that. So, but I mean, you're going to be dwindling quickly, I feel like, after Ovechkin leaves, and that's something I feel like they should probably be looking at, something of going after another winger or going after another center and finding something that could potentially catapult them back up to where they were.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to see Washington that good. I've seen them most of my life again with Alex Ovechkin and all them. So it's like, but I did see a thing for like they were thinking about trading like Ryan Leonard, and I was like, oh wow, any team would be lucky to get that guy, because that guy when he was at Boston College was a straight dog, like DAWG dog, like he knew what he was doing, and I feel like they might use him as trade bait just to get like veteran pieces because they don't want to fringe on Ovechkin's like last playoff run. Just that's just my analyst take, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. That's what I think of.
I would maybe think that they would use Leonard, but at the same time, I mean, that's trading away a piece that could potentially be your future a little bit. If you're like what I just said, if you're looking at having such an aging core and you have a kid like Ryan Leonard who's playing so well and everything and could develop into a player that plays really good, why would you want to trade that away for a player that's maybe in their mid 20s ish and that could bring that level of play back that you're losing with Ovechkin? But that was kind of my outlook of it all. I mean, you might have to trade away some aging pieces, which in those sense, I don't know what many NHL teams would maybe want to take on those contracts, especially with them being aging players. It's going to be an interesting dynamic, I feel like, for Washington, and this is just to see what they're going to do whenever it comes time for, I guess, losing Ovechkin and how they're going to make do with getting back to relevancy with where they've been at for the last several years and being close to the top.
Yeah, I mean, the only like I guess aging, because he's not really aging, is Tom Wilson, just because like everyone needs a goon on their team, and he's a first liner goon. And he's only making like $6.5 million. So you could probably get some pretty good, whether it's a prospects or just like certain players to help revamp the team. If you really think like I'm not going to go far in the playoffs with what we have, like anyone will take Tom Wilson for the contract he has. It is a 7-year deal. So when he signed it, so he should be like 37, 38 when the deal's done. That might hurt you in the long run, but it's still $6.5 million. And that's pretty good for any contender.
Oh, of course. I mean, hell, if I was looking at a guy like Tom Wilson after the year that he's had, I looking at how his contract's going to be shaping out for the next one, because when did he sign that contract? Over the last
Probably
couple
last year, I think.
So I mean, looking at it over the next 5-ish, 6-ish years, depending on when the contract was signed, and you're going to be getting 6.5 for him. Most teams would probably look at that and probably say he's probably potentially a first, second line guy that you can probably have on your team for cheap. Yeah, that could be something that you could kind of flaunt to kind of see what other kind of pieces that you can get to bolster your futures or your prospect pool potentially.
Yeah, and if I'm Washington, I would try to get on the phone with San Jose just because of the pieces that they have. And Macklin Celebrini already play with Wilson in the Olympics, so he could probably like, I vouch for this guy, like bring him over. He's that goon that we need. He can score goals, and he is a dirty player, but he also knows how to fight too. So that would probably help out that team with Kiefer Sherwood when he comes back.
Oh, for sure, yeah, because I mean Wilson's got what 25-ish goals, I think, for the.
I think so, yeah.
This year, then I think it's like 25 goals and 49-ish points on this year. I mean, it's a career year for the guy. I don't think he's scored more points in previous years than this. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where, if he gets moved or if he stays in Washington, or what the overall, just how things are going to shape up in that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I didn't have anything else really covered. Did you have anything that you wanted to cover real quick before we close things out?
The only thing I was probably just gonna say is that I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter saying that, from John Cooper's comments, like 3-on-3 shouldn't be in the Olympics, and blah blah blah. And it's like, you wouldn't be saying that if you won the Olympics. And in 2010, I believe, when they did win it, it was a 4-on-4. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand. Like, it's one guy difference, but the 3-on-3, I would much prefer to 5-on-5 just to make it like equal, so we wouldn't have to hear this kind of stuff. But if that's what it is 3-on-3. I mean, it is what it is. I think they should go back to 5-on-5. Even though
kind of like what they did for the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, pretty much. I would go back to that for the Olympics, just so that way we don't have to see a post like this. And then also too, hats off to Italy for the way that they made the ice rink, kept it together. I know it was 3 feet shorter than like an NHL rink. And we were seeing pictures that they weren't even ready yet, and there was like 2 weeks before the Olympics. So kudos to Italy for getting it done.
Yeah, for sure. That rink ended up turning out pretty good from what it looked like and everything. They did a really good job for, I would say, doing more or less an accelerated build on that building.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't see a lot of injuries that I thought I was going to for a rink that just got made.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I didn't have anything else that we were wanting to cover for today's episode. Thank you guys tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, leave comments for us if there's any topics or anything that you want us to go over in upcoming shows. Please leave a comment, leave a like, hit that bell so you get notifications whenever we are having our episodes coming out. And as always, we'll be on Sundays at this one's a little bit differently. It's going to be coming out a little bit later than normal. But yeah, usually we'll be having shows about somewhere midday Sundays, usually, if not afternoon, evening on Sunday. So please tune in next time for our episodes, and thank you guys for joining us. Peace.